And what better way to end the year than with an absolute epic fail? Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Michaela and this is Michaela's Crafts. And today I'm going to film a video of everything I made in 2024. And I'm so excited to do so, as I'm excited to film every video for you guys. And before I even get into it, I just have to say, I just got the news as I sat down to film this video that we hit 1,000 subscribers. And I am honestly so thankful to everyone who subscribed. I'm thankful to you if you clicked on this video for the first time. I'm just so thankful for this community that we built, and I have no other words to describe the feeling that I have other than just grateful for the opportunity to create content for you guys and to knit as part of my daily life and hopefully soon my job. And I just want to thank each and every one of you who tune in every single week without fail, who always leave a comment. It never costs any money to comment, to like, and to just be along for the ride. And I'm so thankful to all of you who do so. So that being said, let's just have a chat about everything I made in 2024, and we're just gonna round up this year on a good note. I had to think a lot about what this video would look like for me. I have watched plenty of what I made in a year videos, or plenty of what I made my first year knitting, and honestly, this video is going to intersect both of those things for me. Everything I made in 2024, and it's also my first year of knitting. And I had to work really hard not to compare what you're about to see in this video to all of the other videos that I have previously watched, because quite honestly, this year for me was all about growth and learning. I started this channel thinking I was going to make like how-to tutorials. Didn't love that. I focused really early on crochet, and then I really found my love for knitting, and you're just going to see that all along the way. I'm going to show you everything I made chronologically. I'm going to show you finished objects. I'm going to show you things that are still whips, and I'm also going to show you my absolute epic fails because there are a lot of them. So buckle up and grab a tea, grab some water and hydrate yourself, grab your knitting project or your crochet project or whatever it is that you enjoy doing while you're watching YouTube videos, because this video is going to be probably quite chatty, but also a pretty long and really, really exciting. So let's get into it. I'm going to cheat and I'm going to include a project that I started in 2023 because this is the project that I'm, one, the most proud of, two, I have never showed on my channel, and three, it's the project that sparked so much creativity within myself, and it is 100% self-drafted, and let me just show it to you. So this is my Drake vest, or my scorpion vest, and this project came about because my boyfriend took me to Miami to see Drake in concert, which was epic, and I knew I needed to make something just as epic to wear to the concert and remind me of the time that we spent there. So I went onto Stitch Fiddle, I created a graph, and then I gathered up some yarn. I didn't gauge swatch or anything like that. I just measured how long I would need it to fit across my body and adjusted accordingly. So this was the first garment I have ever crocheted or made, period. So I actually just created a Stitch Fiddle pattern, and then I actually bought another vest pattern in order to understand how to shape for the armholes and for the collar. And that is basically what I did. And then in the back, I just continued this part on and made them straps and then connected it to a back panel that I crocheted. Honestly, I learned so much with this project, and there's so many things I would do differently now, but this project was, and probably still is, my favorite project to this day. Like I said, I created the alpha pattern myself. I think I still have it. So if you're interested in getting your hands on the alpha pattern, just leave me a comment below. If more than like 5 people want access to the pattern, I will post a link to it somewhere that you guys can all have. And if less than 5 people want it, then I will just email it directly to you. The next project that I have is it was a kit actually, and it's by Wool and the Gang. I don't remember the exact name of it, but all of the information and details of everything will be linked below if there are details. And I saw actually a creator on TikTok create this and wear it and style it, and it made me fall in love. So this was the project that I started without understanding gauge, without understanding that I should measure my body before I make something. And hers was also oversized. And so to be quite honest, this barely fits over my head. So once I realized that this was barely fitting over my head and it was extremely cropped and I wasn't gonna enjoy wearing it, I didn't even bother finishing the armholes. And I probably never will. I'm probably honestly just going to toss this. I feel so bad. I spent quite a bit of money on the kit, but you live and you learn. The next thing that I have is this little vest that I didn't finish. You can tell I didn't weave in the ends, and we are working on end of 2023, early January 2024. And I actually saw Kendall Jenner wearing something and I wanted to recreate it. And there's actually a pattern that's crochet and knit. You can find both of them. I will have it linked below because I can't remember who it's by or what it's called, but I will find it and I will link it. And I thought it was actually too small. It's a little bit more cropped for my taste now. Knitted up in a cotton yarn. This is basically, so not bad actually. And to be quite honest, I'm trying to lean more into modesty, and this just isn't quite gonna do it. So I used some cotton yarn that I found at Joann, and the pattern is really nice because it is made to measure. So you knit a gauge swatch and then it gives you all of the formulas for the math, so you know how many rows to do. And honestly, it's a great pattern, and I think I would love to retry it now with some wool or just with more knitting knowledge. But yeah, I'll link it below like I said. So in January, I actually started a granny square sweater, and what's absolutely hilarious is I no longer have this granny square sweater. I think I donated it, but it's still the face of my channel. It's the picture that I have, and I'm gonna insert the picture here. And I remember seeing a picture on Pinterest of a girl wearing a sweater just like this, but in purple. And that is what inspired me to make it. I didn't gauge, I literally just made squares and like counted how many rows of the granny square she did and how many granny squares she had, like across, 3 down, and I just made it. And I actually really like how it turned out, and I think I would do it again, but in a less bulky yarn and definitely not in acrylic. The point is I made that granny square sweater. I absolutely remember taking pictures in it. It was a below freezing day. I mean, below 0. And for whatever reason, I was like, I need to go take pictures of this right now. So I went to go take pictures of it, and it was so cold, but they're some of the best pictures I've ever taken, and still the face of my channel. Also in January, I started my temperature blanket. She's humongous. I will insert a video of me kind of like fluffing it out. And I actually got all the way to October before I kind of like let it fizzle out, but I was doing really good keeping up with my temperature blanket. I think this is October or September, or maybe this is September, but either way, I was doing really good. And then I wasn't. I do absolutely want to finish my temperature blanket for 2024, but will I do another temperature blanket? Absolutely not. So in February, I don't have the bag anymore, but I was totally obsessed with everything strawberry, and I wanted to create my own crochet bucket hat, but with strawberries on it. And it was gonna be like one of the square bucket hats, and I wanted to do strawberries around like one part of it. I was practicing doing strawberry kind of like stitch, and I put it on a bag, on a market bag, and the market bag turned out so cute. Then I got to the strap, didn't enjoy working on the strap, and wish I would have just bought one that like clips on, but just never ended up getting finished, and that's okay. It was really cute. So March and April, I was kind of getting obsessed with crocheting blankets, and I was working on this hexadaisy blanket for a while. I have quite a few of these finished. I'm just missing a couple of the colors left, and then I would need to put it all together. But you'll see very quickly that the beginning of the year I was hooked on crochet, and then the second half of the year I found my love for knitting. But I started this daisy blanket and then also a retro daisy blanket, and I've got like 4 of these too, which super cute and would be such a cute blanket. And I honestly want to get back into crocheting in 2025, and I want to finish my blankets, but who knows what that's going to look like. Also in April is when I started to knit my first sweater. I knit the body. I started on a sleeve, realized I absolutely hated it, frogged the entire thing. So let's get into May, and May was the month where my channel started to solidify. Early on, I thought I was going to make how-to videos, like how to knit, how to purl, how to single crochet, and I started off making some how to granny square. I started off doing all of that. Quickly realized I didn't want to do that. I wanted to do vlogs. I wanted to show people what I was making, and that is what really kicked off my channel, because I made a video documenting making my grandma's granny square blanket for my grandma's birthday, and that is the video that has done the absolute best on my channel. I obviously don't have the blanket. I gifted it to my grandma. I'm sure I'm putting like pictures or videos up over here. Karen 1 pound and Lion Brand yarn, like the pound of love, and a whole bunch of different acrylic yarns, and it came out absolutely lovely. I self-drafted it. There's not a link to a pattern, but I did have an inspiration picture I took from Pinterest, and that is how I created my granny's granny square blanket. So into June, the only thing I remember making and that I have proof of making is this granny stitch hat. And I just followed a tutorial that I will link, and I used KC cotton yarn that you can find at Joann. And honestly, it's so cute. Like, hold on. She's so cute. She doesn't really go with my hair that well. Maybe I need to like crochet her a little bit longer, but I don't know, she's cute. She's really cute. So you're about to see my transition into knitting. And the first thing that I knit was this panel for a vintage sweater. And to be quite honest, I have 2 project vlogs on my channel if you wanted to watch the process of me knitting this panel. I had full intentions of finishing this sweater, but I realized I hate knitting intarsia, I hate knitting flat, and this was the first thing that I kind of truly was knitting. I just remember I saw the pattern. I do this a lot. I saw the pattern, I said I have to have it, bought the pattern, bought a whole bunch of yarn, didn't enjoy it, did not enjoy it. This is like a couple $100s worth of yarn too. Like, I have some of the yarn in stash that I didn't use that I'm planning to use as like stash projects in the new year, but quite honestly wouldn't recommend this for anybody who doesn't enjoy knitting flat and doesn't enjoy having a million bobbins hanging off of their project. And pretty much my last crochet project, also in July, that I started, I didn't finish it till much later, but it was this granny square blanket. The only reason I actually crocheted this blanket was because after I made my granny's granny square blanket and that video took off, a lot of people wanted a tutorial. So I envisioned making myself a blanket with all of these colors, and I absolutely love the way that it came out. I don't ever really cuddle up with it as much as I should, but it's just kind of just hanging out on my couch. And aside from one other small crochet project, this is the last thing I truly crocheted this year. So that brings us into August, and I fell in love with this pattern that I saw on Pinterest yet again, and it was the Dale of Norway 1994 Lillehammer sweater. And this was my original version, my 1.0 if you will, and I just wasn't in love with the way that this was knitting up. It just wasn't giving exactly like the picture that I saw. So I kind of forgot about it for a while, and it wasn't until I bought some new yarn that I really brought the project to life, but I will show you that in a little bit. Also in August, I finally finished my first pair of knit socks. I actually finished this sock in February, and then this one I finished in August, but I actually knit them on 2 different size needles. So this sock is actually quite larger than this sock, and you can tell just by the ribbing. So yeah, but epic fail, but you know, they're finished and you can wear them. I followed a tutorial for these. I think socks are a great beginner project, to be quite honest. This was so easy to make. The only thing that was tricky was like this heel flap and then like, you know, decreasing for the toe. But quite honestly, if you have like the basics down of knitting, knit, purl, I don't even think I guess you have to purl for the ribbing. Knit, purl, increases, decreases, you can do it. So October gets a little bit heavy. October was when I just had all of this knitspiration and a lot of energy, and I got really cast on happy. I was planning to make a bunch of gift knits and I quickly became overwhelmed, but here's October. The first thing I have were these You Silly Goose socks, and I was gonna make them for my boyfriend's sister for Christmas. I have since decided not to. The color work is beautiful, first of all, like how is this? But there's something about the shaping of the sock that's just not vibing with me, and I think I'm just gonna take it apart and maybe just knit a vanilla sock with this yarn. This yarn is actually an exclusive to my local yarn shop. It's so gorgeous. And the pattern is the You Silly Goose Socks by Stone Knits. The next project is something that I was so excited to cast on. I remember seeing the pattern right before it came out, and I knew that the day the pattern was gonna come out, I was gonna purchase it, and I knitted it on my needles. And it's my first experience also with knitting for Olive, and it was an extremely enjoyable process. I just haven't had time to finish it because I started casting this on for me at the same time that I thought I was gonna be gift knitting, and then I kind of quickly let go of the project. But it is a project that I absolutely wanna finish in 2025, and it is my Chantal V-neck sweater by Marika Knit. It has this beautiful stitch definition pattern. I think it would be more beautiful if I knit it not with mohair, but I don't mind it too much. It's still very, very lovely. And all she needs are sleeves and to finish the body. And she's gonna be gorgeous to wear. And I really, really can't wait to finish her. Another thing that started to take priority in my knits was a test knit. This is the Mountains and Seas sweater by Sarah from Sarah's Handmakes. The pattern is actually going to release probably after next week. My test knit is due on the 28th. I've been working on this since October, but she's been mostly done. The only thing I have left, as you can see, is the collar, and me and the collar have not been getting along, okay? I've cast on this collar quite a few times. It's not a pattern issue, it's a Michaela doesn't know how to do a collar issue. So I've been working on getting this finished. I think I'm going to pick it up this weekend, and obviously I need to get her finished within the next week. So yeah, I'm also knitting it up in an alpaca yarn. I hope that's going to be okay. I hope it's going to bloom and block out beautifully. I'm also gifting this. This is one of like only 2 gift knits that I'm actually planning to do and finish this year. And is going to be gifted to my dear friend Melly, and her name is Mel. But I work with her and she's one of my besties, and she's so knitworthy and one of the most beautiful people that I know. Ooh, I feel like October was busy. So the next thing I have is the sheep blanket, which I entered into a UFO contest or an unfinished object club that I have at my local yarn shop. And basically you had to pick one whip for every month for 4 months to finish. And at the end, if you finish all of your whips, you get a prize. And every month they do like a little raffle, and I won $9. So I'm actually making money already, okay, with going to yarn club and at the yarn shop. So anyway, except I spent it the same day. So anyway, I knit up this little baby blanket and I'm gonna gift it to one of my coworkers. And all I need to do is sew a lining on the back. Obviously that's not looking cute. No baby's gonna wanna cuddle up with that. But yeah, I also finished in October. And the last thing I did is I crocheted another one of these hats. I was sitting on the plane next to a wonderful man, originally from Puerto Rico, when I was on my way to Puerto Rico, who had just been in Chicago visiting his children after his wife passed away. And it was so touching to meet him and hear his story and to talk to him. And he was just the sweetest man I've ever met. His name was Ernie. And I was making this hat. And once I finished, I just gave it to him and said like, hey, just give this to any woman that you feel in your heart that you want to give this to. He has daughters, he has nieces, so I gifted him that hat, and it was it's probably the most beautiful story I have from 2024. And that brings us into November. We are almost done, y'all. So in November, I participated in my first knit-a-thon, invited by Miss Pia over at Traveling Miss Knits. She is one of the most delightful people you will ever hope to meet in your life. If the only thing you can do is watch her YouTube channel, then you should do that. She is absolutely delightful and a very, very sweet soul. And she invited me to do the knit-a-thon. And so during the knit-a-thon, I cast on the Høstflettevotte by Strikkesofa, which is Norwegian. I don't speak Norwegian, but I like to pretend. And I knit up these cabled mittens in one strand of Superwash Merino by Madeline Taj and one strand of Surrey Alpaca by Fiber Spates in their line Cumulus. And wow, they worked up so beautifully. It was such an easy and my first cable pattern, and it was so easy to follow. And I absolutely loved them. But since then, I have given them to my mom, so you have to settle for a picture. And I'm so happy with how they came out. So now we got to Dale of Norway 1994 Lillehammer sweater 2.0. So I ordered some drops, and actually this sweater was supposed to be due for my December knitting club, and I got the yarn maybe like 2 before that, and I tried to knit up the color work chart quick as possible. Girl, it did not work out, okay? Like, I got halfway through the chart. I even planned it out. I was like, well, if I finish the ribbing this day and then do this part, get to this part and do 10 rows every single day, 10 rows on this chart is a lot. They don't repeat. The pictures are intricate. Let me just show you. This is where we're at. And we're still 10 rows from being able to do the neck shaping. And I'm so ready to keep working on this. I took a little break and was knitting on a hat this week. I'll get to that. And I just can't wait to finish at least the body. And then I think, we extra motivated to do the sleeves, but I'm so motivated to finish the body by next week is my plan. So I'm knitting this up in Drops Daisy, and the colors down here, the gold and the green, are Drops Charisma. And the blue still isn't exactly the blue that I'd hoped, but it's a lot better than the original blue. And the Dale of Norway sweater I started knitting 1.0 is actually closer to the absolutely original sweater. I'll post a picture here. And this looks more like the inspiration picture that I chose. I'll post that picture here. So still not quite as dark as I had hoped, not as cobalt, but I still think it's coming out really, really lovely. And finally, December, which we still have a week and a half left of December, but I cast on this mitten. It's the Chantal mitten. It's actually a pattern that just released by Marika Knit. I'm knitting the Chantal v-neck. It's the same stitch. It's really lovely, and I knit this in like 2 days. I absolutely went to town on it and loved it. I have the other one on my needles, and I'm knitting it up in some random yarn that I had in my stash from when I went to Oktoberfest this year here in Ohio. And it was like USA source yarn, and it was like silk, cashmere, wool. It was like some crazy blend, but I knew that it was like, it's luxury, y'all. It's luxury. So the final things that I have are a Sophie shawl that I don't have. I have it with me, but it's boxed up and ready to be gifted to my boyfriend's mom. She is pretty much the only person that I gift knitted for this year because I had the yarn that she specifically picked out, and the Sophie shawl worked up so quick. She asked me to do a scarf, and she was one of 2 people who asked me to do a scarf, and I'm like, y'all, scarves are the worst. I didn't even know this. Scarves are the worst. So if you want to knit up something that like is a scarf but doesn't make you hate knitting, then the Sophie shawl actually was so good for me. And also my friend Kayla at Chromatic Creations also knit one up, and she also loved hers, and she knitted up super fast, and it looks absolutely beautiful. And the absolute final thing that I knit on in 2024 came off my needles today, went into the blocking today, and what better way to end the year than with an absolute epic fail. I have been trying to knit a hat for the past few months since my brother, who is the other person who asked me to knit him a scarf, and I said, yo, please have mercy on my soul. Please, can I knit you a hat? And he said, yes, you can knit me a hat. I cast him on a hat 3 times. The sizing was just not working. So I decided I would recast it on now. I got 16-inch circulars, which I think the problem was that my needle cables were too big. So finally, I decided to wait on his hat, and I was gonna make my boyfriend a hat because my boyfriend is going to the OSU Tennessee game. It's a playoff game. He's going tomorrow. So the last 3 days, I worked diligently on knitting him a red hat for the Red Out playoff game. It came out beautifully. I'll insert a picture. I blocked it. Do I knit gauge swatches? No, I feel like I shouldn't have to knit a gauge swatch for a hat. Well, my freaking mistake, because look how big this hat is now. Yeah. I don't even want to think about it. I don't want to talk about it. That was the last thing I knit this year, and we're gonna leave it at that. So thank you so much for watching. If you made it to the end of this video, you are a true soldier. And leave an emoji, whatever emoji is your favorite for a celebration emoji, just go ahead and leave that to celebrate our 1,000 subscribers and for growing this community this year. I'm so thankful yet again. And let me know what your favorite thing is that you made in 2024 to give me some inspiration for what to bring into 2025. I hope you have a Merry Christmas if you're celebrating, or have Happy Holiday, whatever it is that you do celebrate. And I hope that if you don't celebrate, you're just enjoying time off or in time with your family, because you don't have to be celebrating to enjoy those things. And I hope to see you guys in my next week's video and then in 2025.